Hi everyone, I just wanted to show you what I'm really looking for with this project. I'm using one of the images that you guys are using. So I've already worked it, so I'm just going to walk you through and show you what I did. Okay, so first off, I added a curve layer, and you can see it's doing a little bit, not a whole lot. The number one thing I did was I pulled my output down to 250, and that's right here. And what that does is up here, if I click on my info panel, up in here, this would be 255. It would be pure white, which is bad for our printing. We want to lay ink down on the paper, so I just pulled that down. So that was my number one thing that I did because I knew that that was a problem. So I'll close that back up now. Then I came and I added another layer, a curves layer, and I brightened up parts of it. So you can see that I'm brightening it. I used the layer mask. That's what this is right here, the layer mask. This is kind of what it looks like. So soft down here, a little bit harder when I get up into those other areas. But I'm lightening what's light, and I like how it popped out the flowers in the foreground. Next, I added a darkening layer. So with the darkening layer, I'm darkening what's already dark. So by lightening and darkening in this way, I'm adding depth to the image so my eye can move back into the scene. So that's something to think about. Looking right here, I'd also want to correct that little flare that I'm getting. Next up, I added an overall curve because I felt like it still wasn't brightening quite enough. And if I click on that, you can see that it's a slight little S curve. So the S curve gives us contrast. The next thing I did was I added a black and white layer. But if I click on that black and white layer, notice that my blend mode is changed to multiply. So you might remember back to our colorize project where we played with blend modes on the colors to make them look more natural. So by adding it to this black and white, I kept the intensity and the color in the sky. I didn't turn it black and white, which is what I wanted. And when we turn the eyeball on and off, you can see that much more depth is being created here. And then lastly, I just added another little levels adjustment in the midtones because I wanted to darken it down and create even more depth. As I'm looking at it, I might even come in here and pop this part of the shadow area out here. So to do that, I'm just going to grab a curve, grab my targeted adjustment tool, come in here, and just kind of brighten that up a little bit, right? You might remember that. Now the whole image is brighter. Command I to hide that. Grab the brush tool. I hit B on my keyboard. Made my brush a little smaller by clicking on the brackets. I then hit 5 on my keyboard to take me from 100% opacity down to 50%. And I'm going to paint with white. White is my foreground color, and I can just kind of brighten that up a little bit. So I think that's looking a little bit better. I clicked a couple of times, and it brightened it as a whole. So that's what I want you guys to be thinking about. Look at each little element and work your way through it. Tell the story to your viewer. Tell the story to whoever you want to tell it to, yourself. Have fun, explore, play with the layer masks. Don't be afraid. You can always throw them away.